Well, if the RMB continues to go down, this will have very negative effect on US financial markets. All times when China has allowed its currency to go down, this has had very big negative effect on the US stock market, etc., because China is a very powerful financial sphere in the world. Again, there's John Authers, who's again somebody I admire. I don't agree with him. He's the chief writer on financial markets for Bloomberg. I don't agree with him, but he's a very serious person. He makes studies. He writes on this. This is the most deadly weapon of China against the United States. You can see this in the trade negotiations. One of the number one things that the United States wanted was for China to agree not to allow the exchange rate of the RMB to fall. And the reason for this is because it has such a negative effect on the US economy. Now, let's be clear. I am not advising China whether it should allow the currency's exchange rate to decline or not, because you have to take into account other things. There is a big positive in the sense that this has a very negative effect on the US economy and is damaging and therefore is a serious weapon to be used against the United States. On the other hand, it has some inflationary consequences within China, and someone in the middle of this situation would have to weigh up all these factors to judge what to do. So let's be clear, I'm not advocating a particular course. All I'm saying is that a decline in the exchange rate of the RMB will have negative consequences for the US economy. Also, it would have positive consequences for China because it will certainly make exports better. And one of the restraints on China allowing the currency to fall has been removed. As the United States was very worried about a fall in the exchange rate of the RMB, when China was negotiating the trade deal with the United States, if the United States wanted to be reasonable, to come to some agreement which was reasonable for the United States and reasonable for China, then China had an interest not to allow the exchange rate of the RMB to go down. But if the United States is going to be unreasonable, if the United States is going to carry out big attacks on Huawei, if the United States is going to attempt to interfere in China's internal affairs, then there's no reason why China should carry out a policy of maintaining the exchange rate of the RMB higher. So again, I want to explain, I've not run a country, but I've been a key part of running a big city, which I can tell you is complicated, like London, which is complicated enough by itself. And I know you have to be in the middle of a situation in order to have all the facts. The Chinese government will certainly have certain pieces of information which are not generally available, on the basis of which it has to take its decisions. All I will say is that from the point of view of the United States, any fall in the exchange rate of the RMB, which is significant, is a very negative factor from the point of view of the US economy and will hurt the United States. That is one fact that the Chinese government will have to take into account together with all others in deciding what its policy will be on the exchange rate.